Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a simple bronzed natural makeup look using OFRA Cosmetics. OFRA Cosmetics is a brand I've heard lots about and I finally managed to get my hands on some of their products. As always, I'm starting off with a primer. I'm using here the silicone primer from OFRA. I personally prefer the silicone primers because I find that it sits better with my face, and also because I have some fine lines and some wrinkles in some areas, I find that it kind of creates a barrier from the foundation and other products from settling into these creases. Next, I'm going in with the concealer wheel and I'm using the shades that I need to cover the relevant blemishes. You see it comes with 6 different shades. I'm starting with the under eye circles, so I'm applying that color using a brush and applying just a tiny bit because the product is really pigmented, so you really don't need much at all. And don't forget, underneath the eyes there's often creases or fine lines, at the very least expression lines, so you do really want to go very gently in that area and not overload it with product, because the more you use, the more it'll settle in the creases and the fine lines. Next, I'm concealing other blemishes on my face, such as around my mouth and some brown spots that I have on my cheekbones and some redness on my nose. This product is wax-based, but it also has lots of moisturizing properties, which I found really good for my skin personally. And then I'm settling everything in with a powder puff, and I sprayed it with a glycerin and rose water mix. You can use a wet beauty blender if you like. And I'm pressing it in so it basically doesn't sit on top of the surface, so it makes it look more like skin rather than makeup. And here is a little mini foundation palette. I'm mixing the 2 shades that are suitable for my skin tone. And as you can see, I used a tiny little bit, and even that was way too much to cover up my face and the parts of my neck which I've covered. The product is really blendable, very pigmented, and full coverage. And again, I'm pressing everything into the skin with my powder puff to make sure that it doesn't sit on top. Next, I'm coming in with the darker shade, and I'm using that as a contour shade. Those of you who've seen my videos know that I prefer to use powder contour rather than creamy contour, but I decided to try the creamy contour because I will be using creamy contours, more creamy products in general with the COVID restrictions, because they are much easier to decanter onto a clean palette rather than breaking up powder products such as eyeshadows and contour palettes and blushes, things like that. So I'm applying the contour just where my face needs it, according to my face shape and also my age. It's definitely a strong pigment. Now, I do have to say that normally for contouring I would go for a cool tone. This is definitely a more warm tone rather than a cool tone. But it's not too bad for a bronzer. I guess on the cheekbones it doesn't matter as much as it does on the nose really, and on the jawline. So now I'm blending everything in to make sure I get rid of all the lines that I created for the contour, because contouring at the end of the day should not be seen. And now I'm using the lighter shades to brighten up the parts of the face that I would like to highlight. Applying a light concealer on either side of the nose underneath the contour will make the nose look more narrow. You don't usually do this part where I applied the lighter shade on the bridge of my nose, but I thought for this video I'll try it, why not? Because at the end of the day I'm trialing something out, and when I trial a product out I really work it hard. And again, we blend everything in together to make sure that nothing stands out too much. And I set everything up with the Kryolan translucent powder, which I personally absolutely love. it does have a nice blurring effect, so it's really good for those who have enlarged pores. And now is a piece de resistance, and that is the highlighter. This one's called Rodeo Drive, and that's by Ofra, of course. And it's just absolutely magnificent. You'll see why I love this shortly. Again, with all of the Ofra products I've seen so far, a little bit goes a really long way, so you really don't need much at all. This little highlighter is going to last me for years, I know that, with my use of it. So I'm applying that above my lips, on the cupid's bone, underneath the eyebrows, so on the eyebrow bone, and I'm applying that on the top of my cheekbones. Now remember, the highlighter, the shimmery or illuminating highlighter, can be also used to give an illusion of a wider or a slimmer face. So be strategic with where you apply that. I also prefer to use a brush to apply the highlighter with, so it doesn't leave any marks, because often you can see a line of where the highlighter was applied. I'm going in with a brownish shade as a bronzer on the cheeks, and then the lighter shade, which is in fact more coral, but it doesn't really look like that on camera, I see. But again, just a tiny little bit. The brush literally just barely touched the product, and you see how much I got out of it. So because I only bought a shimmery eyeshadow palette, I'm using the Tartist Amazonian Clay palette just to get the matte colors out of that one. And I'm just drawing a definition on my eye socket, so just to create this depth, which I prefer to use a matte color with rather than a shimmery product. And it's absolutely normal that our eyes are not symmetrical, so you can see that one of my eyes is I guess higher than the other, but I don't fuss too much about trying to make them too symmetrical, to be honest with you. Now I'm using the same shade of brown from the same palette, but I'm using a thinner and more dense brush, and can you see the difference in colors? It almost looks like it's a completely different shade, but that's only because the dense brush picks up more pigment, so you get a more payoff, I would say, from the shade than when you use a fluffy brush like I am now, and the one that you can blend with, so that gives a more soft look. And this is the eyeshadow palette I bought from Ofra. So I'm going in with this dark brown, it's like a bronzy shimmery shade, and I'm applying that on the mobile eyelid. And again, you'll see how little I used and how far it really takes me. Make sure to go as close to the lash line as possible when you apply eyeshadow, because often we get some gap visible, which isn't really that flattering. Next I'm going in with this really nice burgundy color. Applying that across the mobile eyelid as well, just to mix the two shades together so it's not all too brown. And then I'm going in with this color. This is actually a really nice yellow golden shade, although it looks a bit more champagne on camera, I see, but it's actually a really bright yellow gold color, and in real you actually do see that. I still struggle with getting the settings of the camera and lighting right, but hopefully I'll get there. I'm applying that in the inner corners of the eyes, so as close to the nose as possible, and also in the center of the mobile eyelid, because that just gives it a nice little sparkle when you talk to someone, when you blink. It's just a really nice effect. And I'm doing that same thing underneath the lower lashes, making sure that everything's nicely blended so you don't want to see any harsh lines. And then I'm going in with that burgundy shade again and I'm applying that underneath the lower lashes. So I've decided that I'll definitely go in and buy the matte shades of this OFRA Cosmetics brand because I just fell in love with them. And also, they're not too pricey for their quality, I have to say. They're quite affordable. And also they're designed for makeup artists, which is always a plus for me. The small palettes are definitely ideal because for me, I personally am very strict with expiry dates. So even if I haven't touched the palette for 6 months, it goes out. It just goes out. I don't take any chances with my customers and with my business. Now I'm blending everything out because they're all very similar shades. They all marry together nicely. And my cat was screaming his head off, basically, sitting next to me, begging me to put him up on my chair. So I filmed the rest of the video with my little cat, big cat I should say, on my lap. Now I'm using the Inglot number 77 gel liner. Now this is not to create a wing, because I personally find with a smoky round shape you should never add a sharp wing liner to it. So instead I'm just outlining the lash line just to give it more definition for no other purpose. So I'm just applying that really roughly, and then you'll see I'll blend it out with a clean brush so it's not too prominent. And it all gets smudged out basically and softened out. Try to get as close to the lash line as possible, like I said, to avoid any gaps. Now I'm covering up the black eyeshadow with this shade. So again, because we don't want the eyeshadow, which is quite harsh, to dominate this look. So I'm blending it out with this burgundy shade, because this way you still have the outline of the lashes, but the shades will all go together with the rest of the eye makeup. It keeps it nice and soft. Now this of course is optional, but I am lining the waterline with black gel liner. I'm using the same one as Inglot, as the gel liner that I used to outline my lashes. Next I'm applying my false lashes with eyelash glue. Now please remember, those of you who are intolerant or have a sensitivity towards latex, generally eyelash glue does contain latex, so make sure you get a latex-free eyelash glue. That's really important. Next I'm blending in my real lashes together with my false lashes using Hypnos Mascara by Lancome. I'm applying that on both the upper and lower lashes. This one is absolutely safe to use on your lower lashes because it doesn't run. If your eyes do tend to water, however, I recommend you wear a waterproof mascara on your lower lashes. The final step is the lipstick, and this one is in the shade Sao Paolo. It's a nice long-lasting lipstick that doesn't crack your lips or dry them out. So I ate and drank with it all day, and it did good. It was also very comfortable to take off. We didn't have to struggle to take it off. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.